Welcome to another episode of the brand called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a respected and senior professional with a deep passion for swimming from South Carolina, USA, Mr. Steve Moby Leitch.
Hi,
Steve,
nice to meet you.
welcome.
Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. Steve is an ultra marathon channel swimmer. He's a speaker, an author, and a founder of Beyond the Shoreline. So, Steve, my first question for you, your life story is one of extraordinary transformation. What was life like before your journey of recovery began?
Yeah, life before recovery was very much there was no forward thinking. It was all reactionary thinking. Make a bad choice, try and recover. Make a bad choice, try and recover. I don't think I really realized how bad my addictions were probably until the last 3, 4 years. And then it got really bad in the last year, in 2009, 2010, when the economy had crashed and the money was gone, and I'd opened a restaurant and my identity was kind of taken with it. Um, so yeah, life was very, um, like I said, reactionary.
Hmm.
Wasn't a lot of goals.
Yeah.
There was like, I didn't even understand how to set goals anymore. When I was younger, I had set goals when I was a swimmer. But in business and in life, in personal life, I never set goals. I was just like, hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do, um,
Absolutely.
and it was a very, there was no blueprint, there was no purpose, and there was no kind of direction and faith to it. So
Hmm.
that really answers
Very
what life was
interesting.
like before.
Absolutely. And was there a defining moment when you realized that addiction and alcoholism could no longer control your life?
Yes, I would say the last couple years, I knew, well, the last few years I knew I was struggling, but I was kind of holding on. But then again, when the economy crashed, I just started really making one bad decision after another.
Mm.
And I didn't have any control over over my addictions, my drinking. I was just trying to escape, and not. I didn't want to feel the pain that I was going through, whether that was in relationships, whether that was in business, whether it was just physically. I just didn't want to feel anything. And then you get to the point, and I call it POC, the point of critical,
Mhm.
where you are at a like a really massive split in the road in your life. And you know that if you go down this road,
Mm.
there is nothing good down there, but you can kind of figure out what it's going to be
Yeah.
from the choices you're making. Or you can go to the other direction and say, you know what, Lord, I'm going to put my faith in you. And I don't know what's down that road,
Mm.
but I do know it's got to be better than what's down the road that is predictable, you know? And that's the problem with addictions is we get used to predictable outcomes.
Yeah.
So it might not be the best thing for us, but at least we know what we're getting.
Mm.
So once you start shifting into this unpredictable lifestyle, then you really start moving into faith, purpose, and just your life completely changes. So yeah, it was 2010. I found myself under a tree in a rest area in Kentucky, and I was spiritually bankrupt, physically bankrupt, relationally bankrupt, financially bankrupt, and I was like, okay, Lord, I'm done running. I want to experience something different, and I'm going to move in another direction, even though I have no idea, like zero idea what that looks like.
Mm. Mm. Amazing. And what attracted you specifically to ultra marathon channel swimming, which is one of the toughest endurance challenges in the world?
Yeah, that I kind of so so I had a really great manager. He's a great friend of mine. I call him a brother now. Um, when he started with the company I was working for at the time, he was into Ironman triathlons. And he said, we had got talking about life and past and faith and all this. And he's like, physically, you should start swimming again. You really used to enjoy that. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I have not swum since 1992. And he's like, well, maybe try open water. And so I got in and did a 2.4 mile open water race, really enjoyed it. Um, I wasn't super fit or anything. I just trained like 6 weeks and had a great time.
Hmm.
But I did a couple of those and then decided, hey, I set the goal of like, okay, this year I'm going to swim 5 miles straight by myself. Next year I'm going to swim 12 miles by myself and see what that looks like. And I had specific goals of how I was going to get there, and how I was going to do it, how I was going to accomplish it. And once I got to the 12 miles, I was like, okay, well, next year I want to do, like a 30, 40 mile swim. And but it was during COVID and my boat, the person who was going to do the boat fell apart. So I ended up just swimming up and down the coast of Lake Michigan, with my wife and friends kayaking. And it was really fun, but I swam about 30 miles. I was so sick. I didn't know anything about earplugs and cold water in the ear, nothing about nutrition. I just kind of coached myself to this 30-mile swim. And then I realized that was longer than the English Channel.
Hmm.
So then the goal started. I booked myself for the English Channel, but it was a 2.5 year waiting list. While I was learning about the English Channel, I found out about the Ocean Seven, which I'm glad to share what the Ocean Seven is,
Yeah,
but
please tell us.
we'll get to that.
Hmm.
So then the Ocean Seven, I kind of went, oh, well, there's 7 of these swims, and they're like, the Everest and K5 of mountain climbing. This looks really fun. What if what if we swim and raise money for other people? Because at that point in my life, I was like, I'd been so tired of doing things for myself, and
Hmm.
that really all shifted in 2011, 2012. So I get to 2018, 2019, and I'm like, I can start using my skills and talents. I'm really good at swimming a long way. I'm
Hmm.
good at swimming through pain and just keeping going. How do I use that for other people? So that's when we created this concept of like
Wow.
swimming, swimming for purpose. Your mess is your mission, those kind of things. Swimming for people who don't choose to be in that situation, whether it's cancer, foster families, or even, now I raise money for addiction recovery. But that's how I got into the ultra marathon swimming. It was like one goal created the next goal, created the next goal, and opened up the next door, the next opportunity.
Hmm.
And here I am
Oh,
sitting
amazing.
6 of 7 Ocean Sevens. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. I mean, for someone to just, who is a swimmer to suddenly say, let me go and swim the English Channel and then discover the Ocean Seven. I mean, quite unusual. I've never met someone, and what a pleasure it is to talk to you. But tell for my viewers and listeners, Steve, tell us a little bit about Ocean Seven.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at the map behind you and I'm seeing a bunch of the places I've swum. So I'll start with the first one. We
Yeah.
um we started Easter Sunday 2023. Swimming Molokai to Oahu. It's the Kauai Channel in Hawaii. It's the longest of the swims. Admittedly, I did that one first because it's the warmest water. And I was not adapted to cold water at that
Mm.
time. That was 28 miles through the middle of the night in the Pacific. Pretty scary swim, but
Yeah.
I loved it. Then I went on to the English Channel and I really struggled in the cold with that swim. That's from England to France,
How long?
21,
How long? What are the distance?
20 miles for the
Okay.
English Channel.
Mm.
So but let me just say one thing. Mileage on swims does not matter when
Okay.
current is involved.
Mm.
Tides and current, it, you know, the the 28-mile swim ended up being 30. The English Channel, I think I swam 24 instead of 20.
Mm.
Um, then we did North Channel, which I failed the first year, swam 10 hours, got 5 miles from the coast of Scotland and quit.
Mm.
Very, very cold, very, very primal conditions. That one's 21 miles as the crow flies. Then I went and did Segura in Japan.
Hmm.
Probably my favorite swim to this
Yeah.
date. Japan was an incredible place, but it was from northern Japan, from Koto Omari port, just outside of that, to Hokkaido, across the Segura Strait. And that's supposed to be, I don't know, I think they say it's like 14 miles. I swam 21 miles that day. So a little bit of a difference.
Hmm.
Um, then we went on to do North Channel again, Northern Ireland, Scotland. Made it this year, or last year. It was a little bit warmer, but still pretty cold, 56, 57 degrees. Then I went on to do Cook Strait in New Zealand, and
Hmm.
incredible swim. North Island, South Island.
Hmm.
The waves were massive. The water was cold. The sun was hot. It was a very, very hard swim. I got pushed up the Cook Strait for 4 hours because I couldn't get across the current until the tide changed and sucked me in. So what was going to be a 10-hour swim ended up being close to a 13-hour swim.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, I was halfway at 4 hours.
Hmm.
That tells you the thing.
Amazing.
And then we just did 3 weeks ago, or maybe a month ago now, we just did the Strait of Gibraltar from Spain to Morocco. A little bit of a shorter swim, 4 hours, 44 minutes. And that was 9 miles. And I've got the last one, Catalina Island to California.
Mm.
Catalina, California to San Pedro, California. That'll
And
be
that's
about
coming up in July, you said.
July 19th. Yeah. So that'll be 7 and 7. And
Amazing.
to God be the glory. It's crazy.
Incredible. Incredible. But tell me, Steve, open water swimming involves isolation, darkness, cold, exhaustion, and uncertainty.
Mhm.
What goes through your mind during those long hours in the water?
Yeah. So we always get asked what goes through your mind on the event, but what actually prepares you for the event is the process, right? Nobody talks about the process. Everybody talks about the event. And it's the early mornings, the late nights, the training while you're sick, the time scheduling, the running your businesses, being involved in your family, the training, so that all the things that go into leading you to get there are actually way harder than the swim, even though the swims are incredibly hard.
Mm.
I would say the process is really what makes the person, right? Um, and you could have the best process in the world.
Mm.
Mother Nature decides you're not getting across that day. She decides you're not getting across that day.
Mm. Mm.
Uh, so what goes through your mind? Sometimes you can be thinking about food. Next thing you're thinking about, man, that's a lot of tuna. I wonder what's chasing them. Or wow, that Portuguese man of war really feels like hot copper wire on my skin. That is burning. I've been sick, stung, electrocuted by a shark shield, almost being hit by 4 different swims, being hit by a boat. It's a very primal environment. So what you really do is you learn about how good you are about enduring. And enduring isn't, your endurance level of
Mm.
how fit you are, is how much pain
Mm.
and pressure you can sustain and go through over a long period of time. And I think that's what has taught me most about leadership and business is
Mm.
it's about staying calm when everything is going wrong. When
Mm.
everything is going wrong, and all you have to do is touch the boat to quit
Mm.
or to say, I'm done, or to walk out. You 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 go back to what is the smallest part of this process that I can do to keep moving forward. Okay, now I'm doing that. I'm putting one hand in front of the other. But now the next decision is like, look at my team around me.
Mm.
They're here supporting me. I can't let that down. I need to stay in presence.
Mm.
And so you learn a lot about process and not overcomplicating the situation.
Mm. Wow.
And so I think the biggest lesson, one of the biggest lessons also is learning how to submit to the process,
Mm.
right? Because you don't get to choose what Mother Nature, delivers to you that day. So, in business, there's always um, outside, let's just say, things or circumstances. It could be legal, it could be global markets, it could be government shutdowns, whatever. There's all these outside factors that you cannot control.
Mm.
So how in leadership, just like
Mm.
ultramarathon swimming, how do you learn how to stay in control of your next smallest decision?
Oh, interesting. Wow. One more question relating to the oceans, and then I'll come to you beyond the shoreline.
Sure.
Steve, tell me, what have the oceans taught you about humility and respect for nature?
Humility and respect for nature. So I would say, made the mistake of saying multiple times on a swim, well, if it stays like this, I can handle this.
Hmm.
And,
Okay.
and inevitably, every time I say, if it stays like this, I can handle this, then something happens, whether it's lion's mane jellyfish grazing my face,
Hmm.
or all of a sudden my stomach just getting really upset, or like in the Cook Strait, you got to the middle of the swim and I'm doing great, and I can see the other side. We're halfway across, things are going well. All of a sudden, the waves just pick up, and it is massive out there. I'm actually more fearful for the people in the boat. I'm like, is this safe for you guys? And they're like, shut up, keep swimming. But I've learned that to respect the ocean and understand that you really are a visitor there, but you can succeed if you just stay present
Hmm.
and really just focus on the next smallest thing you can do. Um, keep swimming, keep your feeds really short, get the information from the boat. Don't don't spend a lot of time trying to convey what you're
Hmm.
going through, whatever. If you've got a lingering thought, that's just you can't get rid of, that's not working for you,
Hmm.
shout it out to the boat and tell them, hey, I've got to tell you this, even though you can't do anything to change it. I just need to get it out of my head. You learn a lot about communication with yourself and with your team. And the other thing I've learned is pressure is a privilege.
Correct.
Pressure is a privilege.
Hmm.
I choose to be in that situation. So if you're in a high pressure leadership position, remember you're choosing to be in that position. Act accordingly. And if you don't want to be in that position, then make a different choice.
Fascinating.
But
Yeah.
don't grumble because you've made the choice to be
Correct.
there.
Correct. Great response. Thank you. Let's now move on, Steve. You founded Beyond the Shoreline, and clearly the name comes from your passion for the ocean. But what inspired you to create the company, and why do you believe storytelling and filmmaking are such powerful tools?
Sure, yeah. So Herschel, who is a good friend, incredible filmmaker, just incredible with the camera,
Mm.
great interviewer. He came on our first swim in Hawaii just to make a home video. We just wanted a
Mm.
20-minute home video. But he
Mm.
started getting into conversations, and he had known me long enough
Mm.
uh, that he after the swim was like, I need you to know I'm making
Mm.
a full-length documentary on this. And it's called Beyond the Shoreline, the Channel of Bones. It's on
Mm.
Amazon Prime. And we talked about it. And what we did is when we released it, we booked a movie theater, we shared it. We had a lot of people coming from the addiction recovery community. And then I went and shared it at churches and addiction recovery centers. And I realized, I was like, there's so much hope from a transformed life that can be shared through visual storytelling,
Mm.
that we want to share this with the world. Like just the whole process of going through the Ocean Seven, we're like, if we film everything and show all the ups, the downs, the behind the scenes, the interviews, the pre and post interviews, if we share everything about this Ocean Seven, which nobody's really heard of, Because when I first started, 20 people had completed it. And that was 20 people. We're now up to 43.
Wow.
And it's such a niche thing, but everybody who's doing it is doing it to raise money for something. And the community is really tight. And I was like, there's no good footage of this. Let's share about this ex-addict whose life has been transformed by faith and purpose. And let's share that with the world. So that's why we started the media company, because I was like, you know what, in a world that is just pummeling fear into people, uncertainty, anxiety, wars, economic crisis, oil crisis. I mean, it is there. Everybody's being bombarded.
Amazing.
Let's give some hope. The story of like your past does not define you. That's why we created Beyond the Shoreline.
How amazing. Steve, I have time for two more questions for you.
Yes.
Looking back at your younger self during your darkest days, what would you say to yourself today?
I get asked this question a lot, and you'd think I would have a patented answer, but I think I've forgotten it every single time.
Okay.
Today, what I would say to me is remember that you don't have to fit in. God only created one of us. Act accordingly.
Correct.
One life, one purpose, one path. And that path might be all over the place, but really understand why you're created, what you're created for, and use your skills and talents to serve others. I mean, that is going to give you way more fuel for your life than anything else. It's just serving others.
Amazing. And my last question for you, Steve, what message would you give to someone listening to our conversation now who feels broken, lost, or without hope?
Yeah, if you're broken, lost, or without hope, just know that the smallest decision can change that. Number one, just admitting you need help. Number two, reaching out to someone. And then just don't focus on quitting what you're doing. Focus on starting down a new path, new habits, new disciplines. And that life will be it's going to be hard, but it's going to be easier than what you're going through right now.
Yeah.
Because once you get unstuck, it's just tiny, small decisions. Make the best next decision and I can't talk about this enough. Surround yourself with people who want to see you win.
Wow.
Who want to see you succeed. Just cut off all the ones who are not there cheering you on, saying, I want to help you get to the next level. Because there's nothing worse than an anchor on a boat that's ready to sail.
Wow. And on that note, and this very powerful piece of advice, surround yourself with people who want to see you win. Thank you, Steve, for talking to me. I've spoken to people who've climbed Mount Everest, people who've done the 7 mountains or the 7 peaks, but at the first time, I'm speaking to someone who's almost completing the 7 channels. What a powerful story you have. And it's just incredible how you pivoted from the challenge you were facing into becoming someone who's known globally for something that you were passionate about. And it's an endurance sport. Thank you so much for speaking to me, and all the very best to you.
I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.